Welcome everyone to the fourth annual English Language Conference 2026, jointly organized by the Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this session, Dr. Muhammad Khalil Moussa from Engli-Vision Academy. Dr. Moussa's work focuses on the connection between emotional intelligence and effective learning. In this interactive workshop, Developing Emotional Intelligence in Learners, he will share practical strategies for fostering resilience, managing classroom conflict, and promoting empathetic communication in diverse educational settings. As you listen to the presentation, please feel free to share your questions and reflections in the chat box throughout the session, and we will try to leave time at the end to take some questions from participants. Please,
So how long is the session? 30 minutes,
um,
right?
yeah, about 30 minutes. Please
Including
join me.
questions, right?
No, we could have extra 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Hello, everybody. It's really amazing to be here with you. Thank you so much, Dr. Subhi. Thank you, Omar. Thank you so much. At the very beginning, I won't take much of your time, but I'd like to tell you that I've always been thinking about emotional intelligence because people nowadays are obsessed with artificial intelligence. Do you agree with me or not?
That's it.
What do you think, Dr. Omar? What do you think, everybody? I can see that many people nowadays talk too much about AI, artificial intelligence. So I thought about talking about the human essence. The human essence, in other words, is the emotional intelligence or the EQ. And my very first question, the whole thing is all about the Gen Z and the Gen A. At the very beginning, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm an academic consultant. I'm an academic consultant at a number of TV channels in Egypt, CELTA holder, Delta candidate, PhD holder, English instructor at Cairo University. I was the former president of Nile TESOL Egypt, and I've always been working in research about the challenges of teaching English in classrooms, especially with young learners. And finally, I found out that, and I would like to present myself also not only professionally, but also personally as the father of three daughters. All of them belong to the generation of Z and Alpha, and how I experimented a little bit with the attitude of my daughters as representatives of those of their own generations. So at the very beginning, I'd like to tell you that if we talk about Gen Z, so Gen Z, they are stuck to their mobile phones, tablets, phablets. They're so tech savvy. They value the quick pace of everything, including sessions. They criticize a lot. They have excellent communications, excellent critical thinking skills. They are so much stuck to their phones, the Gen Z thing, their attention span max 50 to 60 minutes. They suffer from what we call brain rot. I don't know if you've heard this expression or not, Dr. Subhi, Dr. Omar. I don't know if you've heard about how the Gen Z and Gen A suffering from the brain rot. Brain rot, in other words, it means the lack of concentration and focus because of too much exposure to reels and social media. So we thought about, okay, I think teaching English does not only include giving them the vocabulary, grammar, or pronunciation. We should instill in them certain things related to emotional intelligence. But once again, we're not talking only about Gen Z, we're also talking about Gen A. And my question, Gen A, they are the younger generation who we call digital dependence. They depend totally on AI. Their role models are bloggers. They're so exposed to K-pop. K-pop! And they're not intimidated easily. They're global citizens. They are used to learning, online learning, because they went through COVID-19 era. So all the given circumstances of Gen A and Gen Z show that those students depend heavily on electronics, tablets, and there are challenges. How can we overcome challenges and provide them with the emotional intelligence? First thing, what are the challenges of teaching Gen A and Gen Z? And before I move on, I'd like to ask anybody here, do you agree or disagree that nowadays in classrooms with Gen A at schools or Gen Z at the university, don't you think that there are challenges of teaching those learners or not? What do you think? I would like to listen to your participation. If you agree, please say yes. What do you think, Dr. Omar? What do you think, Dr. Subhi? Do you think there are challenges of teaching Gen A and Gen Z or not?
Yes, well, first of all, doctor, thank you for the question. And yes, I agree. Of course, we have great difficulty in teaching those, or let's say this generation, since it's difficult for them to see us as role models, as we used to have the younger generation, of course, yes.
And they're so much attached to their phones. They have a problem with focus, short attention span. And one of the challenges is that sometimes they can bully the teachers. Okay, I don't know if you agree with me about this, but because they listen to the native speakers of English, sometimes students of Gen A and Gen Z, they speak more fluently than some teachers. I don't know if you agree with this or not, Dr. Sobhi. Have you ever come across this or not? You find some students correcting the accent and the pronunciation of some teachers.
Yeah,
So you find that some agree or disagree.
yeah, of course I agree. My daughter, she's 8 years old and she always correct my mistakes, her mother's mistakes, everybody's mistakes, and she is almost fluent in English. That's right.
And she over relies on AI and they can easily get the information. And by the way, most of them, they don't have the verbal intelligence. By the way, do you agree or disagree that many of them depend on emojis and reactions rather than texting? So you tell your daughter who is 10, 12, and 14 years old, do you understand me? And they give you a thumb up. I
Absolutely.
miss you very much, heart. My daughter, okay, students, I would like to see you very soon. Yasmin, what do you think? And you find Gen Z telling you, okay, or thank you, TY. So we have a problem with the lack of verbal intelligence. And they love very much everything which is audiovisual. Audiovisual because of the reels, lack of motivation. They've gone through so many things. They want everything the easy way. And we have to accept that there must be ways of improving their learning and their emotional intelligence. So after setting the problem, can you please tell me, do you think we actually have a problem with the language, verbal and emotional intelligence of current learners? If yes, please give me a thumb up. If yes, raise your hand if you agree that we really have a problem with the students reacting to everything. They prefer giving emojis rather than talking. Verbal intelligence, emotional intelligence. They sometimes could bully. They sometimes don't care. They sometimes can make fun of teachers when they mispronounce anywhere. So if you agree about this, give me a thumb up. Yes, thank you so much. So what could be the way out, Mr. Omar? I want you please to tell me what could be the way out. These students, we don't want to let them go like that. We want to make a change, provide an impact. Can you please write in the chat box one way, or please open the mic and tell me what could be the ways to encourage them to react and improve their emotional intelligence? What do you think? We need some effective ways based on experience, hands-on experience of how to improve the emotional intelligence of some students. Can you tell me, Miss Doha, Majd, Hanada, what do you think? Can you tell me? We are talking about the students and now we would like to talk about effective ways of improving their verbal as well as their emotional intelligence as well. And let's get started with one thing. The first thing with Dr. Subhi. Do you agree, Dr. Subhi, that we can write a contract with them? Since they have the business mentality, since they have the entrepreneurship spirit, many of the Gen Z, Gen A, they have the entrepreneurship. Why don't we write a contract of discipline? And the rule number one, no bullying in classroom. Agree or disagree? They want, yes, we want to take their phones away, but at the same time, it's really hard. They are addicted. We need to write a contract telling them, number one, you have to learn to respect others. Bullying means you will lose some of your marks. We need them to respect others because respect lies at the heart of emotional intelligence. Yes, I will talk about reading, Dr. Sobhi. Do you think sometimes to improve their emotional intelligence, we should give them some time to act, maybe record videos on social media to let them express their voices? What do you think? Agree or disagree? What do you think, Amr Musa? Agree or not?
I
Hello?
agree.
Can you answer me, please? Do you think with the Gen Z and the Gen A, we can ask them, okay, guys, you've learned something today about Hamlet, Macbeth, Shakespeare, Great Expectations. Why don't we just, I want each one of you to dig deep into the character, learn more about the character, start acting. This can raise their emotional impact. This can affect them. And by the way, one of the things to address their intelligence, their IQ, not EQ, not the emotional intelligence, but their intelligence is to relate. Thank you so much. To relate what they learn to market benefits. In other words, we can ask open-ended comprehension questions like what? Why do we learn grammar? Dr. Sobhi, some of our students, they ask you, why do we learn grammar? We can simply work without grammar. Why do we study history? Why do we learn drama and literature? They're all useless. We want to draw their attention to the emotional
Uh,
part of life. Yes, can you answer me? If they
yes,
ask
good.
you this question, how can you do that? How can you answer this question? Why do we learn grammar? Why do we learn history? Some of them, they've got this critical thinking kind of question. What do you think, Dr. Subhi? Can you tell me? One of the techniques is that it's not only about emotions. Sometimes we have to answer them and speak the language and relate everything to business. We have to learn grammar to look professional when you work. We have to study history to understand the human nature. We have to study drama to understand the characters in life. And this takes me to something very important. Have you ever thought about showing them videos of famous celebrities and how they struggled in life so that they can learn more about the importance of emotional depth? For example, sometimes I show my students Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs, how he suffered, but he had his own principles. It's important to show them business personalities, business celebrities, and relate them to ethics and principles. Yes, Mrs. Natalie. Mrs. Natalie.
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you've asked why do students ask us as teachers, why do we learn grammar? Basically, as an English teacher, for me, I teach my student not the rule of grammar. I teach them how to use grammar.
Excellent.
So let go of the rule, let them use. That's it.
Why do we have to study grammar? What's the point of studying history? What's the point of studying drama? We want to be like bloggers. What do you think, Azza? This is what I'm talking about. We are actually facing a business oriented generation, and that's why we need to show them business icons with emotional depth to improve their feeling of others and emotional intelligence. Yes, Azza.
Hello, Dr. Mohammed, and thank you so
It's really
much for
good to
the
see you.
amazing presentation. I'm
Thank you.
following you for a long time. So now here is a very interesting question, and that's what I tell my students most of the time. You learn literature, you learn grammar, because when you sit with people and communicate, they're gonna evaluate you based on how you communicate with them. And if you don't have the same background, if you don't share the same level of understanding based on the background and the education you have received, you are not
Thank you.
going to be low ranked.
And
Definitely.
by the way, Miss Azza, I want to tell you something interesting. If you want to speak the language and make a change and make them feel for others, no bullying, they start acting. They start relating everything to life. They start understanding personalities who are successful, but they've got the emotional depth. Sometimes to approach them, we can also use some of the language to break the ice and develop rapport. Have you ever used some of the terminology used by Gen A and Gen Z to make sure that you're getting closer to them and you're making a change? Have you ever thought about that? Yes. What do you think?
especially
Have you ever thought about
six,
that?
seven.
Sometimes you can say, oh my God, I'm so cooked. Oh, those questions are so cringe. Sometimes we should not overuse their terminology. But at the same time, sometimes if we use their language, we get closer to them. If you want to make an impact, we should not be instructing and lecturing all the time. We can sometimes approach them using their own language to have an impact. What do you think about this? I would like to hear your take on that. What do you think, Dr. Sabha? Agree or disagree?
Well, yeah, of course I agree. I
But to
sometimes
some
even
extent.
use the 6, 7 that Gen Z always using, so I agree.
And okay. Yes, Dr. Azza. Yes, 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 Mr. Azza. Yes.
Of course, I agree. I even have a TikTok page where they actually follow and they go and they see all the videos I'm doing. And they watched my 6, 7 video and they talk about it in class. They talk about it at school. And it's
Yes.
funny, they say, well, I am being taught by a TikToker. I am famous now and my teacher is famous. So they are actually, they like it. They want to relate to something.
And this is what I'm talking about. If you want to teach them emotional intelligence, feeling for others, knowing the importance of ethics principles, it's very important to give them without spoon feeding them, without making them feel that ethics and emotions are a hard pill to swallow.
عملنا
No,
بإيثكس دلوقتي.
simply the best thing to work on their emotional intelligence is project-based learning. Agree or disagree? Has anybody here tried before project-based learning? Please design a project with your colleagues, work together. I want you to present something. The moment you provide them with a project, we have a collection of emotions and basics of emotional intelligence getting together. Agree or disagree? What do you think? I would like to hear from you. Have you ever tried project-based learning? Project-based learning, Mrs. Natalie. It means, okay, today we're going to talk about the importance of business. I want you to draw a logo. I want you please to think about a slogan, get together, present. But rule number one, don't make fun of anyone. Rule number one, I want you to listen. Please learn to listen to the others. You are different, but you have to respect difference as well. So you are providing ethics, emotions at the same time while you are finishing your own project. And by the way, they work on the presentation skills, speaking skills, grammar, vocabulary, all in all, together, teamwork, collaboration, supporting each other. And finally, sometimes I use AI. Sometimes I use AI to add fun. Yes, to add fun to the classroom. I don't know if you agree with me about this or not, but since Generation A and Z are digital dependents, they depend heavily on AI. Sometimes I have to use celebrities to speak and reach out to them. English teachers can also show videos of celebrities to remind them of their tasks. Now, this is the task which I'm going to give you, Dr. Subhi, and everybody. Who could be the stories of success of celebrities who fought for their success despite challenges? I want you please to give me names, all of you, and I want you to tell me what is the story and what are the stages they've gone through in their story of success, what type of challenges they faced, and how could they overcome all those changes. What do you think? Can you please think about a celebrity that you think so successful, so rich, but he suffered really hard? I want you as students to tell me the stages of success, how he reacted to everything, and what could be the final messages. I would like to give you this project now as colleagues, as teachers. I want you to write down in the chat box who could be successful icons and stories of success who could inspire those generations that appreciate the power of money. Moussa, thank you very much, Dr. Subhi. Muhammad Salah, the icon of success in the Arab world. He made it really big. Elon Musk, many people make fun of him because of his autistic attitude, because he doesn't care about others, but this is not something good. But he did not listen to the others. He worked on himself until he became the first trillionaire in the world. Even MG, Michael Jackson, who suffered from a kind of a turbulent childhood. Michael Jackson suffering from racism, but he tried to fight racism through his songs. Now it's time to listen to one of his songs to add fun. King Abdullah II, all the teachers, all the celebrities. And by the way, have you ever thought about telling them your own story? Your story as a teacher. How you started, how you suffered in your life until you reached the classroom. How everybody has got so many things in his life or her life. But at the end, we have to show the best to the people. This is the essence of emotional intelligence. This is what we can teach our students. And by the way, one way of teaching the students is to show them video clips of a movie. By the way, have you ever thought about a certain movie and you watch the movie together to work on the listening, speaking, vocabulary? What do you think? Can you tell me, please? I want you, please, to tell me what could be the movies what could be the movies that could be shown to students and they can actually listen, improve their English, vocabulary, grammar, and at the same time, work on their emotional intelligence. Let me show you one of the best movies ever that sometimes I play with my students to improve their listening, vocabulary, and the movie is called Dead Poets Society. What do you think? Have you ever watched that movie or not? What do you think? Please, I would like to hear your yes. Okay, wait a minute, Maram. I think I've got only 4 minutes and then you will hop in after that.
Of course.
Sorry?
I only watch blockbusters.
So once again, I would like to tell you that one of the movies for the late Robin Williams, he was a very famous celebrity. Yes, this movie could be taught because of the very clear accent, clear English, vocabulary, grammar, spelling, vocabulary, grammar, speaking. You can also provide them with this, but at the same time, it's full of, yes. And by the way, sometimes when I talk about the meaning of happiness, I want you to show them the pursuit of happiness. Have you ever thought about this movie? the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness could be shown to those students of Gen A and Gen Z. However, only show them video clips, not the full movie, because they get bored easily. Show them short videos and tell them, do you think this guy had an easy life? Is it a real story? Yes. Does that mean that sometimes we have to stand hardships? Yes. Do you think it's easy to crumble in in the journey of success? No. Sometimes we have to stand up and stay strong. Excellent. So it's very, very important to pick movies depending on the age of students, but relate movies to language and at the same time relate movies to the principles of emotional intelligence. So once again, I would like to tell you that one of the things I use with my students is something called the color coding technique. And by the way, since those students are visual learners, I try to teach them the paragraph using texts. Simply, those students have a kind of a short attention span. They cannot easily recall the information. So sometimes I use abbreviations like Texas in writing a paragraph or the picture of a sandwich for showing them the paragraph. They are visual learners. It's very important to teach them the way they want to learn. Texas, T, topic, explain, example, analysis, summary. It's very important to tell you that if we talk about Generation Z, they are 22, 23 years old now, and they have the same problem of the brain rot. When you teach them, try to reach out to them. Give them the information with a bundle of emotions, ethics, and principles. This is something very, very important. And this is what Mark Prinsky, American educationalist, said last year. Today's students are no longer the people of our educational system. Our educational system was designed to teach. They are digital natives. They are native speakers of the digital language of computers, video games, and the internet. So we have to reach out to them, but at the same time, give them the education with ethics principles. Language is a means of communication. If we talk about communication, we're talking about intellectual and emotional communication. Thank you so much once again. And I have to leave this session with effect of AI as well. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moussa, for this insightful and engaging session.
Thank you.
At this time, we would like to open the floor for some questions from the audience. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them in the chat box. And thank you for.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
I look
Let's
forward
see
to
if we.
seeing you in Jordan very soon. And
Yeah.
have a wonderful evening. Take care.
Well, I would like to meet you in Jordan, but I am in the US now, so maybe if you come to the
Okay.
US,
Yeah, where in the US?
Georgia State, Georgia State.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I was in TESOL International.
Oh,
Thank you, Mrs. Natalie. Thank you so much once again. Thank you for being one of the best. Gen Z, Gen A. After Gen Z, Gen A. Okay. And then after Gen A, we have Generation Beta, who will be born in 2026 or who was born in 2026. Those born in 2025 and moving on are called Generation Beta, but they are now enjoying their breastfeeding, so that we're not going to talk about how to teach Generation Beta. The moment they get done with their feeding, and they start joining schools, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about the challenges of teaching Gen Beta. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for being. Thank you to Georgia State University. It's one of the best. It has always been my dream to meet my colleagues in Queen Rania University and Queen Rania Teacher Academy.
I think we have a question from Montasar.
Yes. How can we empower? Actually, we can empower Generation Z to use AI if we give them the ways of using AI. I think that we should not shy away from AI. This is something that I asked Jeremy Harmer when I traveled to IATEFL a couple of years ago. Many educators somehow panic about the use of AI. We should not be doing that in front of Gen A or Gen Z because this is the language, this is their comfort zone. So we should use AI in front of them to give them to be a kind of a role model to them, to show them how can we use AI with the levels of information, the 5 levels of information: what, when, how, why, assessment. So we can use AI with the what. So for example, if I'm teaching them something related to songs, theater, drama, poetry, they can read about the poet through AI, but when they start with the analysis, let's use the human essence, the human critical skills. So it's very important to give them the power. To what extent can they use AI? I can say that we should provide them with some extent. We would not say extensive use or dependence, wholly depends on AI, or we will be obliterating the human critical thinking skills. However, on the other hand, we should not be shying away from AI. So I think there should be a contract. Yes, you can use AI to add fun, to add jokes, to know the slightest information necessary, but not to answer the projects, not to do the homework on your behalf. So the AI is a double-edged sword. Let's agree on that. And let's agree that we cannot tell them don't use it because they will use it. We have to respect their intelligence. Gen A and Gen Z, they're so intelligent. We have to respect them. And it's really hard to have an impact on them because they're exposed to so many cultures. K-pop, American bloggers, British bloggers, they are global citizens. If they don't respect you, if they don't like you, they will not listen to you. And at this moment, we will have a cultural gap and generation gap. And this is why I always believe that teachers should also develop their AI skills, technology skills, acting skills. They have to use their voices. Teachers have to be part of the social media prestige, and they have to tell them, I have many followers on social media. This is part of the social image in front of Gen A and Gen Z. To have an impact on them, speak the language and take them to your ethical, emotional zone. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Okay. Once again, thank you, Dr. Moussa, and thanks to our audience for your active participation and engagement throughout the session. On behalf of the Queen Rania Teacher Academy and Georgia State University, we appreciate your presence today and we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Take care.
Bye-bye for now.